In one of Aoi's latest card stories, she gets stabbed and dies. Wait, are we serious about this? Okay, so I just got back from convention. Yeah, the whole recreation of this scene, his recreation of this scene, basically. She has flowers, she's going to Tsubaki's wedding, and then, she stopped the thief, she's like, no, this is a special day. Can't deal with this, and she gets stabbed, and she manages to make it to the wedding, says some words, looks at the sky, and then dies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, being real for a second. In the story, the group Lyrical Lily discusses how Tsubaki and her group, Rondo, performed live for a wedding. Haruna, one of Lyrical Lily's members, eventually thinks it's one of the members of Rondo getting married, but is quickly shut down. Miko, another Lyrical Lily member, then talks about a wedding video she saw recently. And it goes like this. Aoi heads to a flower store to get a bouquet for her best friend's wedding. And when she's about to leave for the wedding, a thief barges into the store and steals a bag from someone. Aoi catches the thief and scolds them for making her miss the wedding. But out of nowhere, she gets stabbed! The scene then cuts to the church, where Aoi's friend Tsubaki scolds her for being late to her wedding. A picture is taken of Tsubaki and Aoi by the other members of Rondo, but when the others depart, Aoi stays behind the rest and laments about the beautiful blue sky. And then she dies. Cut back to reality. Everyone is obviously confused about the ending, considering this was supposed to be a wedding video, so what the flip, dude? Miko explains that it was super impactful to her, and that it was also the final episode of a series with no continuation. Now, if you went into the comments of the episode itself or did some searching, you probably know what the story is referencing. But if you don't, and I didn't as well until recently, then let me introduce you to a series called Chojin Sentai Jetman, or just Jetman. It is the 15th entry in the Super Sentai series, a long-running superhero show in Japan since 1975. You probably know this already, but large parts of Super Sentai were adapted into the West as Power Rangers. I'm still not fully knowledgeable on this, so you can watch a video on it if you want, but back to Jetman, the plot isn't all that important to this video besides evil forces, superheroes, kick their ass. What is important is Guy Yuki, or Black Condor as he's known in the series. I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot here, thanks to the wiki, and the fact I'm not watching all of this to regurgitate out back to you. Unless you want me to. The big point is that Guy Yuki during the series had a crush on Kaori, who is White Swan, or the Pink Ranger for accessibility, I'm sorry. Kaori, however, has a crush on Ryu, the Red Ranger, but Ryu does not reciprocate with Kaori, leaving Guy to be like, bruh. This will lead to Guy risking his life for her multiple times, with it eventually leading them to being together. But this would not last long due to him not being able to be himself when he planned to be with Kaori's parents, and Kaori wanted to make him something he wasn't. Yeah, one of the core traits about Guy is that he's kind of a bad boy, a delinquent, and that he's a womanizer. He kind of messes around a lot. He can't work well on the team, and he struggles with that throughout the series, especially with Ryu, the leader. They learn more about each other later on and become pals when they eventually hate each other, and soon they eradicate the evil once and for all. 3 years have passed. I know I just shoved so much information up your ass, but it was all worth it. So Guy gets an invitation to a wedding. The couple, Ryu and Kaori, the girl he once loved, and maybe still loves, sort of. So stay with me here, guys. He goes to a flower store to get a bouquet for his best friend's wedding, and when he's about to leave for the wedding, a thief barges in the store and steals a bag from an innocent woman. Guy then catches the thief and scolds them for making him miss the wedding, but out of nowhere, he gets stabbed! He then makes it late to the wedding, and gets to talk with Ryu for a bit about the blue sky they saved. A picture then gets taken of Ryu and Guy before Ryu lets Guy rest. And then Guy... well, back when this episode premiered, we didn't actually know the fate of whether he died or not. It was only until almost 20 years later in Gokaiger where we would get the confirmation that he did indeed die, with his ghost coming back for one day and damn, he looks good for his age. That's actually crazy. He actually aged really well. Also, it's kind of messed up leaving a cliffhanger like that for years. A Jetman fan definitely died during that 20-year time gap and never knew if he lived or not. That's crazy. But yeah, you can now obviously know what Aoi's story is referencing. Oh yeah, it was also the final episode of Jetman with no conclusion, just like what Miko says. It's really funny how much they keep the story intact, with the events happening almost exactly the same, and both of them saying similar key phrases about the sky. But it begs just one question though. Who did Tsubaki marry? If Aoi's Guy, that means Tsubaki is Ryu, which means who is Kaori? Or in this situation, Tsubaki is Kaori, but then who is Ryu? But if Tsubaki is Kaori, that means Aoi just saw the girl she loves marry someone, and that's fucked up. Also, that whole situation in Jetman is messed up. Seeing someone you love for a long time marrying your best friend, no. I know he's grown and stuff, and that's why it allows it to happen, but me personally, I wouldn't let that slide. But I know Guy would, and that's why he's a good man. Reading the story and comparing it to the actual inspiration, you really gotta ask yourself, why? Why did they reference this? Why did they do this? Jetman is old, and I'm pretty sure like 90% of the D4DJ fanbase, me included, wouldn't get this. Someone on the writing team is old as hell, and I gotta respect them for putting it in. It's so bizarre, but I love it. I mentioned it on Twitter, but you can clearly tell the writers have fun with implementing the Jetman story in the D4DJ, replace the Jetman characters with D4DJ ones, the recreation of the stab. It's faithful. It was obviously done out of love and passion, maybe for the shizzles and giggles, but I love it. I love when people express things they love in different ways, either by just saying it out loud or something something secret like this. It's so sneaky. It makes me fucking giggle thinking about it from the writer's perspective, like, oh yeah, we're gonna put this stupid ass reference that I love in here and only like 10 people are gonna get it. I can't even hate on it. I would do the same thing. If I love something or someone, I will show it secretly, which requires like a double examination, like, oh, hold up, let me look at this really quickly one more time. It's familiar. It's so much fun. This sounds extremely weird, but I can see the happiness that came from writing this story. Like, there's no reason to do this, but they did it, and they made it fun and awesome. One rule I've had for this channel is that any video has to be either talking about my feelings on something or how someone else feels, like a fictional character and what they go through. That mindset has helped me make these videos, and this one is no different. I feel happy seeing other people putting something they love into something they work on. It shows that they cared enough to adapt the scenes faithfully, and also bring this albeit silly scene to a modern audience. Like I said earlier, Jetman is old, and one of the best things you can do to something old is making sure it lives on in different ways, either as a warning or just to show love to it. I don't know the writers of the game, but I can imagine them having memories of the ending of Jetman because it was that impactful seeing a dude die when they were young and say, guys, I have an idea. Ultimately, it's just a silly reference, but one that's really cool to look deep into and see where it came from and why I did it in the first place. I actually watched a few episodes of Jetman just to understand the series and help the script, and if you're interested at all, you should go watch it too. And I'm sure that was a secret intention by the writers to lead you down to the rabbit hole known as Super Sentai. I love deep dive searches like this. It's just really fun going deeper and deeper until you can cover the truth. Anyways, I'm off. See you guys later.